Welcome. This is a short video on homework expectations, about what you should do, what you need to write down, and what happens if you don't get a problem. So let's start. Most homework will be done in your journal. And when you do your homework in your journal, you need to do the following. You need to write at the top of the page, homework, and you want the word homework, and then write the due date and the assignment. Okay? So those three things, the homework, the due date, and the assignment. Now, for each problem, you want to copy or summarize the problem. You want to show your steps, and you don't need to erase mistakes. If you make a mistake, you can just put a line with it, line through it, go to the next line. If you can't complete a problem for some reason, you still want to restate the problem and the instructions for the problem. Do what you can. We'll talk about a little bit more later. And then write a specific question to ask in class. Finally, when you finish a problem, be sure to check your answers. Usually I will teach you how to do that in class, but if I don't, you need to either figure out some way of checking your answer, or if there happens to be no way for checking an answer, take a look at the back of the book and check the answers there. Now let's say the textbook had a problem, and what was written in the textbook was something like this: solve each equation for x. Now here's what you would write. In your journal, you would have the correct heading, and you would write down problem number 11. What are the instructions? The instructions are solve for x, so you write that, and then you write the equation. So 3x plus 1 plus 4 equals 12. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and solve the problem, and here's what you need to do. So first, you're going to write 3x plus 1 plus 4 equals 12. Then I just noticed that I made a mistake. Now if you want, you can just put a line through that and rewrite it correctly. So this would be 3x plus 3 plus 4 equals 12. The next step might be to add the 3 and 4 together. So we get 3x plus 7 equals 12. Subtract 7 from each side, and we get 3x equals 5. And then divide each side by 3, and you'll get x equals 5/3. And you might want to circle your answer. Now the next step is to check your answer. In this case, the way to check your answer is to substitute 5/3 for x. So we'll go back up to the original equation, which is here, and substitute. So this is going to be 3 times 5/3 plus 1 plus 4. And that's the same thing as 3 times 5/3 plus 3 times 1 plus 4. 3 times 5/3 is 5, so this is going to be 5 plus 3 plus 4 is 7, and 5 plus 7 is 12, and that's what you should get. So here what we did is we restated the problem, you showed your work, and then you checked the problem, checked the answer. Now let's say that the problem is a word problem. For word problems, you don't need to do all of the writing. You don't need to capture all the words. But let's see what the important information is. So one important piece of information is the formula for a volume of the sphere. So let's say that this is problem number 13. We would write problem number 13, V equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so that's the volume, and then r is the radius. Now next, you want to solve for r, and then you want to find r if the volume equals 200 inches cubed, or cubic inches. Then you would write the following. So V equals 4/3 pi r cubed. In this case, you would multiply by 3/4, and you would get 3/4 V equals pi r cubed. You can divide each side by pi, and then you would get, we could rearrange things a little, 3V over 4 pi equals r cubed. And then finally, you can take the cube root of both sides, and then you would have the cube root of 3V over 4 pi equals r. So this is the first part of the problem. And I extended that a little too much. Okay. So here's the first part of the problem. Now the next thing that you want to do is find r if V equals 200. So to do that, you would substitute 200 for V in the formula, and you would find this is 3 times 200 over 4 pi equals r. And then this is something that you might do on a calculator, and you'd finish the work on your calculator, and you would find out that r is approximately equal to, that's not the right sign, so this is r is approximately equal to 3.63. And then you might just say that you did this on your calculator. Okay, so when you have word problems like this, you don't need to write every single word. You can just summarize the problem quickly, the important information, show your work, and if you did something on your calculator, just note that you did it on your calculator. Now, a couple of other things. Some of the problems that we're going to do may have a large data table, like with 15 or 20 numbers on it, or it might have some kind of a complicated picture or a photograph. Those are things that you do not need to copy. Those you can just reference the book. And if it's a picture, if it's like a photograph or something, you can just try to reduce the picture to its bare bones, to what you need for a problem. Sometimes you might get a picture where in the book you'll have a tree, and it'll say the height of the tree is 300, and the shadow that the tree casts on the ground is 100 feet, and then it might have a picture of a human, and it might say that you are 5 feet tall, and they want to know how long is your shadow. So let's say that this whole picture is what was in the book. Now you don't need to redraw the picture even the way I did. It would be enough to just make the essence of the problem as a triangle that's 300 by 100, and then another little triangle here that is 5 by something, and then you have to find out what the something equals. So again, you don't have to copy large data tables, you don't have to make accurate copies of pictures, and you don't need to write all sorts of words, long sentences and things. Just capture the essence of the problem, and that'll be enough. Now, if you don't understand a problem, you still need to restate the problem. You need to write down the directions and any information that's given with the problem. Now, don't give up if you don't understand it. There are always things that you can do. You can tinker with the problem. You can do some guess and check. You can write some things. You could write some things down. You might also think about look up unfamiliar words in the textbook or a dictionary. It's best to use your textbook first if it's a math word, because they will have definitions that are written specifically for these problems. But otherwise, you might want to look in the dictionary. And then what's really important is that you take the time to write a question to ask in class. Now, that is not a question. Right? Question mark is not a question. You want to write down what it is that you didn't understand. If there's an instruction you didn't understand, say that I didn't understand the instruction when it said solve the equation. I didn't understand what the question was asking. What was the question asking? So write down something to ask in class, and when I go around and look at your homework, if you haven't completed a problem, I will look for something like that. Now again, if you don't understand a problem, restate it, tinker with it, write a question in class. You can also go on to the next problem and then come back to the one that you didn't get. Sometimes just getting away from a problem is enough. If there's a video on the chapter that we're studying, you might go to our website, take a look at the videos, and see if that helps. You could ask a friend or a sibling or someone at home to help you. No one at home needs to help you. If you don't get it, you can always come back in the next day and ask about it. But if you have someone available to you, it's fine to do that. And again, if I don't answer your question in class, just make time to see me at office hours or easy as pie. Now, if you're having trouble with the homework, I don't want you to cry because it's not worth it. I don't want you to worry about your grade because if once in a while you have trouble with homework, that's okay. Not a problem. You just write down your questions, bring them into class. And don't worry about whether I'm going to get angry or yell or embarrass you. I'm not going to do those things. If you didn't get it, and I can see that you tried, and I can see that you wrote questions, I will treat you respectfully. I will ask you what kind of help you need, and we'll either get help from me or perhaps a classmate if there's time in class. And I also do not want you staying up late working on homework. You do need to take care of yourself, and if you find that you put in an appropriate amount of time and you still can't complete your homework before your regular bedtime, despite your best efforts, go to sleep, have your parents just drop me a quick email the next day, and everything will be good. Okay, so there are your instructions for homework. I hope that helps, and have a good day.